I never used to mind working the late shift. In fact, I thought I liked it. The building was quiet, the phone hardly rang, and most nights I could spend the hours buried in my own thoughts. But then came the night that changed everything. The night I realized some places aren't meant to be occupied after midnight. It was a Tuesday. I remember that clearly because earlier in the day one of my co-workers had joked, "Careful tonight, Tuesdays are cursed." I laughed it off, thinking it was just another one of his weird superstitions. But his grin never reached his eyes. It was the kind of smile someone wears when they're trying to make light of something they actually believe. I arrived at the office around 11. The building was already empty, except for the janitor who gave me a nod before he pushed his cart into the stairwell. His eyes lingered on me just a little too long, as though he wanted to say something but decided against it. I shrugged it off, swiped my keycard, and entered the main floor. The place looked different at night. During the day, the office buzzed with ringing phones, clacking keyboards, and endless chatter. But now silence. The kind of silence that doesn't feel natural. Even my footsteps sounded wrong, echoing too sharply against the tiled floor. My desk was near the back, by a window that overlooked the parking lot. I sat down, booted up the computer, and got to work. For the first hour, everything was fine. Quiet, normal, almost boring. Then, right around midnight, I heard it. A door slammed. Not just closed, slammed. Hard enough to rattle the glass partitions between the cubicles. I froze, my hands hovering over the keyboard. At first I thought maybe the janitor had dropped something, but when I glanced around, the place was empty. The janitor was gone. Probably just the wind. I muttered to myself, even though I knew every single door in that building was heavy fireproof steel. They didn't just swing open. I tried to ignore it, but then came the sound of footsteps. Soft, steady, measured. Not hurried like someone trying to get somewhere, but slow, deliberate. Each step stretched out, echoing across the floor. And they weren't coming from the stairwell. They were coming from the back hallway, the one that led to the locked storage rooms. My pulse quickened. Nobody should have been back there. Nobody except me. "Hello," I called out, trying to sound braver than I felt. My voice cracked anyway. The footsteps stopped. The silence that followed was worse than the sound itself. At least footsteps meant someone, or something, was there. The silence meant I was alone with the possibility. I stood up, against every instinct screaming at me to stay seated. I took a few steps toward the hallway, heart pounding in my throat. The air felt colder with each step, as though I was walking into a freezer. My breath even fogged faintly in front of me. That's when the lights flickered. Once, twice. Then the hallway went completely dark. I froze, every muscle in my body locking in place. The glow from my desk lamp barely reached the beginning of the hall, leaving the rest swallowed in pitch black. And then, from somewhere deep inside that darkness, came a whisper. Not words I could understand. Just a long, drawn-out hiss of breath, like someone exhaling right beside my ear. I bolted back to my desk, fumbling for my phone. But when I grabbed it, the screen was dead. No battery, even though I had charged it before coming in. I tried the desk phone next. Static. Just static. That's when I realized I wasn't supposed to leave. Something wanted me here. I sat in the chair, gripping the arms so hard my knuckles turned white, trying to convince myself it was just my imagination, just the fatigue playing tricks. But then I noticed something that nearly made me faint. On my computer screen, where my spreadsheets should have been, words began to type themselves. "Don't look behind you." I squeezed my eyes shut. I told myself not to move, not to breathe, not to listen. But the curiosity was unbearable. Against my better judgment, I turned my head. There was nothing there. At least, nothing I could see. But I could feel it. The heavy weight of someone standing behind me, watching. The air was thick, pressing against my chest. And then, slowly, a reflection appeared in the dark glass of the window. Not mine. A pale, hollow-eyed face, standing just inches behind my shoulder. I whipped around. Empty. Nothing. But when I turned back to the computer, the words had changed. "You shouldn't be here." My chair tipped as I scrambled up. I didn't care about my shift, my job, anything. I ran for the exit. My keycard wouldn't work. The reader just flashed red over and over, like it was mocking me. I slammed the door, pulled the handle until my hands burned, but it wouldn't open. Then the overhead lights began to go out one by one. Click, 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 each light closer than the last. Each plunge into darkness crawling toward me like a predator. And then, Silence again, until a voice whispered from the pitch black, clear this time. We've been waiting for you. I don't remember what happened after that. The next thing I knew, I was outside, sitting in my car with the keys in my hand. The building behind me was dark, lifeless, as though nothing had happened. When I asked the janitor about it the next day, he just shook his head. You made it out, he said quietly. Not everyone does.